Sometimes I get into a rut where things just don't seem to be very much fun. Now this time around, inspiration came from a most unexpected place.
Hey folks, check this out! I know! How about we print this Dwarven Blacksmith and make a home for him, complete with a forge!
Hey good folks, my name is Leif and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel called Devs and Dice. Today I'm gonna show you how I did this blacksmith shop. Before we get into it, I want to thank you all for your continued support. I have been somewhat absent, but I want to assure you that I am super passionate still, but the fact remains that it is my hobby and my work has been demanding more hours as of late. And with that out of the way, let's get into this build. My friends over at Army Painter sent me this skin tone set, and I also had this Towns and Accessories from WizKids. It supposedly contains a forge that lights up, and, well, it does light up, and dim down, and light up. Not very inspiring, but there were plenty of bits and bobs that I'm gonna use in this project. I printed out the Dwarf Blacksmith, and also some models that I have gotten from various patrons I support. And some I even made myself. I used a skin tone set to paint the dwarf, and it actually turned out better than I expected, and it was quick. Now on to the actual build. I started out this build by planning roughly the dimensions of the entire building on some cardstock. This is quite thick cardstock that I bought a couple of weeks ago, but as you can see here, I have a house that is approximately 6 by 4 inches, a forge, a courtyard, and some steps to the entrance. Now I knew that this build was gonna contain a lot of bricks, so this meant milling up a whole bunch of XPS bricks. Sometimes I milled up 9 at a time, sometimes I milled up 25 at a time. Here I have to say that the Army Painter foam actually comes into good use because it's 1 centimeter thick. Once I had all of the bricks done, I of course tumbled them to get some texture. I used some bits of XPS foam to start shaping out the actual entrance and stairs. And I've measured that approximately 1.5 centimeters is good enough for a miniature of a 28mm persuasion. Now, I didn't want to do 1-inch stairs because I often think that it looks a little bit overscaled and ridiculous, but 1.5 centimeters? That was actually pretty good. And as you can see here, my bricks vary to get some visual variation, from being 0.5 centimeter cubes to 1 centimeter times 0.5 centimeters. As you see, I'm gluing down a 1 centimeter solid block of XPS foam, which is perfect for the foundation. And as you can see here, that 1.5 centimeters works quite well for miniatures. My tip is really to listen to a podcast, watch a series or something, and then just get working, because it doesn't take that long, but it's a lot of bricks. I try to use the different shapes and sizes in a chaotic pattern to create more visual interest. Gerard Boom over at Shifting Lands sent me a box of goodies, and among those goodies was this angle cutter. This angle cutter makes those 45-degree cuts super easy, and it worked out super well. So thank you so much for that, Gerard. Links to Gerard's shop can be found in the description down below. Now the next step was really to glue these walls together, and as usual I'm using my standard size of 2.5 inches as a height for walls. And honestly, these 45-degree angles worked perfect. Then I went on and I started with the roof, but we can fast forward here because that was actually a mistake. Ignore that. Let's focus on the foundation instead. Of course, I filled up the entire foundation with individual rocks, And then I put on some magnets onto screws I screwed into the walls or the corners of the building. Once I had the magnets there, I used a little bit of drop of paint just to give an indication where the magnets would sit on the foundation. Once I had those locations, I of course just used a hot wire foam tool to carve out a nice little hole and then attach the magnet using some hot glue. Worked like a charm. Now, as per usual, I'm using my handheld hot wire foam cutter to texture some nice wooden beams. Now, the beams I'm using in this build is usually my standard, which is 1 centimeter wide beams and then half a centimeter for the smaller details. It was around this place, I think, where I discovered that, wait a minute, there's something wrong with that roof, and you'll see shortly. If you look at it now with the wooden beams attached, there's no overhang, which is a very characteristic feature of these old Tudor-style houses, be it made of stone or wood. So at this point, just rip the roof off, take some new measurements, and start working on a new roof. This time with some nice overhang. Now I skipped that part, but you've seen me do that before, so no worries. Now when it came to the smaller beams, you can see that I've started to sort of lay out sometimes a quite intricate pattern of beams and stone on the actual XPS foam. I mark out where I want the windows, because these are centerpieces. And then whenever I see an area that is, I guess, ready to be stoned, I just simply use some white glue and place in some of those nice bricks into it. One of my goals with this build was really to go quite detailed when it came to the beams and when it came to the actual stones in the walls. Here you can see, I just wanted to show this an example where I make an X. So it's quite simple. It's actually like in real life. You just simply remove some material from both of these beams so that they can fit flushly to each other. Now once that was done, it was time to cut out some of the windows. Then I glued some beams to the end of the roof. Now one little detail that I wanted to have an extra little roof over the actual entrance. It would just make it look quite nice. Here you can see that I've actually made these small roof windows. I'm not foreseeing that there's an actual second floor. This was mostly decorative. Now while I was there, I might as well use some of my old shingles from my last build as much as I can. Now, I alternated between putting shingles on the roof, putting bricks on the walls, and this was simply as a way to sort of keep working regardless of what I'm doing. Here you can see an example of some of the wooden beams that I want to use for the, not even sure what to call it, the work area for the actual forge. Now, one of the central pieces of the forge is of course to have a chimney. This I just cut out from the actual roof, and then I just held it in place while I used the Army Painter handheld foam cutter to get a quite organic shape. Because I wanted this to look quite chaotic and ramshackle. The actual chimney was glued on using hot glue, and as you can see, it creates a nice lip to the foundation. The next step is of course to cover the entire chimney with these bricks. Now the work area that's going to be sort of outside, I first started by gluing a lot of bricks to one of the beams. Then I actually measured very carefully and then I glued the bricks onto the actual forge. Bit by bit, I put details in like the roof that would fit perfectly flush with the beam and so on. Because the idea here is that I want to be able to lift off everything and leave the bottom plate exposed for gameplay purposes. Now once I had the second beam on, I started working on the bricks between the beams, making very sure that I don't glue this down to the foundation. Now, once I felt that that was secure, I started with some more details, such as the beams at the edge of the roof. Some more shingles were created, and here you can see some more things that I've actually printed. I printed a lock and some hinges for doors, and these things you can download for free, and the link to that will be in the description below. Now time to something new. This LED light that impressed me so much, it was quite worthless, but I liked the acrylic plastic. The problem was though that the acrylic plastic was way too thick for my little forge. So I used an army painter saw and cut it to shape, or so I thought. This became much more complicated, so I actually had to cut it down as well as to fit the forge. Once I got it in there, I continued on with something I haven't done since probably high school, and this is going to be soldering. I bought a start kit and I tested to solder a new LED light to one of these holders, battery holders, which I bought, and it slots in quite nicely, and this enables you to quite easily slot in the battery. And as you can see, that looks already a heck of a lot better, and then just dry fitting with the acrylic plastic, and it works like a charm. Now it was time to start to work on the windows. Now the only unusual thing with these is that I had two windows that were triangular shaped, but otherwise I used the same method I've used before. Cutting that mesh, metal mesh, and then using some UV resin just to cure and let that be the glass. Now once all of that was done, it was time to Mod Podge, and as per usual, I'm gonna go very quickly past this. I try to dilute my Mod Podge quite a lot just so I don't obfuscate any details. The build is primed in black, and then I come in with a zenithal with some white ink. And the first color I'm going to come in with here is Dungeon Gray. Now, this is on all of the stones, and I'm actually diluting this quite a lot because I do want that zenithal prime to shine through ever so slightly. Now, Field Gray has a much more greener tone to it, and in the beginning you might not think it makes a difference, but it actually makes quite a big difference. Now, the last step is really about dry brushing. Here I'm coming in with Dungeon Highlights, which is a mid to light gray, I would say. Here I'm trying to be quite aggressive with the dry brushing. The next step, where I use Spaceship Exterior, this is where I start to pay more attention to the actual direction of the stroke, so it looks like light hitting the actual top of the stones. Now for the wood, I'm coming in with Oak Brown, and this I dilute quite a lot. And I'm even shooting some through the airbrush where I can for all of these shingles. And this is what it looks like midway. It's still drying at this point, I think. Once the brown has dried, I'm going to come in with Basilisk Brown, which is a brownish ochre color, and I'm going to dry brush all of the wood panels and all of the wood bits. Now for the roof, I'm going to mix up some Royal Cloak and Dark Sky and Black to create a Dark Sea Blue color. Griffin Blue, Fog Ray, or Ice Storm I'm going to use for the dry brushing afterwards. So first off, going in with a base coat here, I'm trying to pretend that the shingles were actually painted, hence full coverage is not necessary. Now as you can see, Griffin Blue is the first color I come in and dry brush, and this is where really the shingles start to come to life. Now I am trying to bit by bit go sort of a little bit above and beyond when it comes to the highlights, and the reason for that is because I know I'm going to come in with a black wash. This is my own homemade black wash. It's nothing complicated, anyone can do it. There's a cheap version and there's a, well, still cheap but a little bit more expensive version. Now once the wash has dried, you can see that it desaturates everything and it really makes everything look a little bit more nasty. So you want to go back in here and there and bring out those highlights again. There you can see my sign that I made myself. You can download that as well in the description down below. Now I'm putting the acrylic into the actual fire and it's looking quite nice. This I've colored using some dry brushing and some inks. The windows get glued into place using some hot glue. I'm also going to add some moss for character. And at this point, I think we're getting close to having a look at the final result. Alright folks, so if you're still with me, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching. Please do me a favor and, well, if you liked the video and the project, then click that like button. It's one click for you, but it helps the channel a lot. I want to take the opportunity also to thank my patrons for their support and patience with me over the last few weeks. So thank you. A special shout out goes to my champion and legend level patrons, Chris Sagers, 4VXP, Madners, Magnus Solberg, Rosengraveyard, Leander, and Niklas Swedenlind. Thank you so much, good folks. You are amazing. I hope you all have a nice day, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.